Government shutdown, Ken Sorensen, and Obamacare. Bradshaw joins us today live with special guest Frank. It's a special Max World live here, powered by webcast1live.com.
Let's get it started. Let's get it started in here. Let's get it started. Let's get it started in here.
Let's get it started in here.
Welcome to The View from a Pew, a conversation among Christians who are out to grow their faith by asking the simple questions, the tough questions, and the stuff you really wish your pastor would talk about. Come on now, let's reason together. It's your voice we want to hear. The phone lines are open, so join the conversation. Call 855-244-0077. That's 855-244-0077. Now, here's your host, J. Michael McCoy.
All right, good afternoon. It is a gorgeous day here in central Iowa, and we asked that you, we thank you for taking the time to listen to this podcast or this live show today. We get the rare case of having Mr. Bradshaw in today, as we've tried to do every couple weeks or so, and we're trying to get it more consistent just so we can keep...
I'm busy. I got stuff to do.
I know, but I was about to say just so we can keep your voice in the marketplace, but every time I say that, I get this pain shooting up my spine with a little voice that says, idiot.
I know. If you just listened to me more, that voice would go away.
That's what
I keep encouraging that voice.
I know. And also a voice that you usually just hear on the phone, but he's invited into the studio today, Frank. I don't even know your last name. We'll just call you Frank.
Yeah, everyone just knows you in Des Moines as Frank.
Frank.
Just that Frank.
Mic on.
Frank is here.
And,
that Frank.
And
you didn't warn me about this either, so.
Well, and if I had,
sprung
what would
this.
you have done?
I don't know.
You would have still showed up, but you just would have been prepared.
I actually have access to military-grade body armor. That's not a joke, by the way. Give me 10 minutes and I can go pick one up.
Frank's as calm and cuddly as a little golden kitten.
Yeah, cats are insane.
Bradshaw said he loved his dog this morning.
Yes,
I just wanted to make sure my affairs were in order. I told my dog I loved him before I left.
Do you need to call your mom or somebody online and just tell her you love her? And
no, if I get stabbed, it's on me, I guess, for not doing my due diligence.
All right. Well, actually, here's the truth. I forgot all about that. I invited him. How long ago did I invite you? And then I wasn't even sure we were going to do the show today. So he just showed up at the front door about 5 minutes. And I went, oh, and then I thought, should I have told Bradshaw? Because I didn't realize you had never met him.
No. I've tried to keep that line very purposefully intact.
Is he the reason you got that armed guard at 98.3 to escort you to your car and back every day?
No. That was a guy in Pottawatomie County who wanted me dead.
Seriously?
Yeah.
I don't know about this.
Yeah, I had one real confirmed law enforcement involved death threat while I was at WOW.
Wow. Only one?
Only one, which, when you think about it, is I guess, pretty good. But I'm guessing if the show was still on these days, there would be more.
What for? What was it about? Did you sleep with his wife or something?
No. I had no idea who the guy was. Something about my blasphemy being dealt with. Religious crazy person.
Oh, those. One of those. Frank, you ever lived in Council Bluffs?
No.
Okay.
I've been through it.
Yeah, we've all been through it. We hold our nose and we run through.
So with some excellent work from the Pottawatomie County Sheriff's
Did they find
Department.
him?
Yeah, he...
okay, and is he... Can you talk about it?
Yeah, he didn't get locked up or anything,
Okay.
but it was dealt with.
Okay, good.
Excellent police work.
Okay, good, because, we could send little Frankie over and take care of that.
No. I got my own people for that.
The mob squad. All right, so I'm sure you're very happy today. When we planned this time last week, the government was still shut down. I still had hope that the Republicans wouldn't sell out. And now we are we officially running again as a government?
We are back. I believe even the Panda Cam, which I've never watched, but apparently is a big deal, is back up and running.
The Panda Cam? Is that from the Washington Zoo or something?
I think so. I think it's from the National Zoo.
Did you feel anything from the shutdown?
Yeah, I felt really bad for the 800,000 workers who were furloughed.
Well, but they'll get paid. Once
it was decided they would get paid.
Yeah, $3.1 billion in lost government services. Furloughed workers will get their back pay. Taxpayers won't see a thing.
Well, other than the $24 billion that it cost the economy in having the government shut down.
Why did it cost the economy? Who stopped doing what?
Well, government workers stopped spending. We saw, like in North Carolina, shutting down government welfare programs because of the budget freeze and the government shutdown. So, you can't just shut down the federal government and reduce economic activity that much without feeling the pinch. So I guess my question for Republicans is, what did you get for your $24 billion? Well, our $24 billion.
But we'll get there. But hold on. But Ryan, did you feel the government shut down in any way? Frank, did you?
According to what I heard, only 17% of the government was actually shut down. 83% was still up and running.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't feel it. Of course, I'm not a crack whore on welfare, so that makes a difference.
Really? What about those 5,000 active military soldiers that are on food stamps right now? Are they crack whores?
Why are they on food stamps?
Because they have large families and the military pay isn't that great.
Oh, well, we should raise their pay.
I agree.
Don't you think?
That would involve billions of dollars.
Well, but we could get rid of some other government programs that are useless, like Obamacare.
Farm subsidies?
No, Obamacare. We could stop giving money to foreign countries.
Oh, like Israel?
No, we can't give up.
They're a foreign country, you know.
No,
I
they're
can
not.
You have a globe right there. I can show you that they are not actually part of the United States.
Well, how about let's knock off this umbrella protecting Europe that we've been doing since World War II?
You want to lose influence in Europe now? Because I don't know if you've noticed, but there's kind of a hotbed. I mean, you got everything from fascism kicking up in Greece. I mean, actual real life, like, hey, let's get those trains running on time fascism.
Well,
To economic meltdowns. Well, pretty much in every country you've seen austerity chosen in. It hasn't worked anywhere, but for some reason that's still the plan for the GOP, at least while a Democrat's in office. I mean, come on. Even as a Republican, you have to get a kick out of Chuck Grassley. Here's the guy who was one of the main figures behind Medicare Part D, which is a huge entitlement program. The man wanted to build rainforest. All right, here in Iowa, got federal money to build a rainforest here in Iowa because, that's our climate. And now has become one of the loudest and proudest deficit peacocks, getting spending under control. Something magically happened January 20th of 2009 where Chuck Grassley started to care about the debt and the deficit, and I get a real kick out of that.
But that's politics. I mean, you can name Grassley, I can name this guy. You can name this guy, that's what they do.
No, I name Grassley over and over again because he's a particularly... there are some very good hacks out there. There are.
Grassley's not a hack.
Grassley, you realize, voted last night, all right, to send the world economy, all right, into shambles with a United States default. I mean, he was one of 18 senators. He was voting along with the Cruzes
I
and the
understand,
Lees.
but there's another way to state that, and you can state it your way if you want. But the other thing is he voted what his constituents wanted him to vote.
Show me some numbers that say Iowans want the federal government to default on its debt. They want the federal government
No,
closed.
what they want is they wanted a fair national health care program, and Obamacare is not that. And the only way to get the Democrats' attention was to say, "We'll shut this thing down if you don't do that." And you should be very you should be very thankful that the Republicans did what was best for the country, rather than what the Democrats do, what's best for their pocketbooks.
I don't think the American. Well, I mean, this has been very good for Ted Cruz's pocketbook. He's raised what? How many hundreds of thousands of dollars?
Have you met Ted Cruz?
No,
I have. He's a good guy.
That's not what.
He's a nice guy.
I think my favorite quote was from his old college roommate. It said Ted Cruz has the unique ability to make people who disagree on absolutely everything agree that they hate Ted Cruz.
Good. So he can bring people together
in their dislike. I mean,
Frank.
Look,
help me here.
He's a one and doneer. He's the next Sarah Palin. He's going to pull a Jim DeMint.
He may be.
He's going to pull a Jim DeMint and go rake in the cash, heading a heritage foundation or something
Hannity had
like
a
that.
dedicated liberal on his show the other night. I can't remember the guy's name, but he basically told him, he went to school with Ted Cruz, and he said, don't underestimate Ted Cruz. You can make fun of him at your peril.
I'll say that I'm not making fun of Ted Cruz. I'm not mocking him. He is one of the greatest aides the Democratic Party has right now. in further radicalizing the GOP, pulling funding away from places. And this is the same reason I love Sarah Palin. Every dollar you send to Sarah Palin is a dollar that could be doing something effective, but instead is helping Sarah Palin.
How about just trying to stand up on principle for something? I'd rather lose an election standing on principle than win one standing for nothing.
I would rather you lose elections standing on your principles as well, because they're not shared by the American people.
I
mean, honestly, have you seen a political drubbing like this since Mondale?
Drubbing?
Drubbing.
What drubbing?
What
What
tell me
are you
what that
talking
word
about?
means when we come back. I'm not sure.
Beat down, a curb stomp, you name it. And really, all Democrats had to do was stand together. And we did. And this was, please proceed, Republican Party.
The example of a poor winner.
What?
Bradshaw's in the house. We'll be back later with Frank and I on webcast1live.com.
From the RE/MAX Real Estate Concept Studios, this is Webcast One Live.
I'm Brian Leach, owner and general manager of Service Legends. I brought along a couple of the home comfort heroes.
Hi, I'm Tammy Wells.
I am Nick Wondershide.
I'm administrative manager
I'm the senior technician.
from Service Legends.
It seems like every good thing, when you feel it to the bone that it's good, there's a lot of hard work put behind it. I don't think that you can fake it and have it turn out good.
If we seem like, okay, that's just weird, it's just a furnace, why would you believe so deeply in a furnace? It's not just that, we want to show the world that you can have good service.
Yeah, I mean, it's your home.
It's built into our daily trainings, it's built into our culture, that we're gonna do whatever it takes to have each client say they love us, period.
That's why we spend all the hours in the training that we do. And if we guarantee it's gonna be a good experience for you, or else it's free, what type of work do you think we're gonna do?
There is a guarantee.
Temperature selection guarantee, fixed right or it's free guarantee, comfort guarantee, best value guarantee. All of these guarantees hold us accountable to ensuring that we exceed your expectations. And if for whatever reason we'd fail and we can't make it right, we guarantee all of those guarantees with a 100% money back guarantee.
I mean, if you don't think that your technician can fix it right, are you gonna say that to a client? No.
You don't have to worry about having a technician come to your house.
We drug test, background check all of our team members. We put safe people in your home. Each and every one of our service techs, 400 hours a year in training.
You tell it the minute they walk in the door. They know what they're doing, they've done their homework, and they actually truly care about what you want.
Because at the end of the day, you're the person that makes sure I have a job.
They're gonna be listening. They're gonna wanna know what your challenges are. Then they're gonna come and give you options, and you get to choose.
If I'm there to help and I make it easy and painless, I did my job right that day.
Well, when it comes to your comfort, safety, and your family, you don't necessarily go buy the most expensive, but you get the most bang for your buck.
Oh, it's worth it, because there's a lot of people that will find a way to get it to work right now and then leave and then come back, charge you again, and the cycle just repeats itself. So when I'm out there looking at the furnace, I want to find why it failed today. How can we change the part today with something that you're not going to have to worry about? Is it worth changing the part today? I mean, you can put a lot of money into a furnace. I can fix parts all day. There's good job security in that for me, but is it the right thing for you?
I get a lot of the phone calls of after the technicians are there. They're just in awe. They're like, wow, you guys are great. I mean, I don't even know what to say. You guys are great. Everything you did was perfect. It was great.
Keep going though, I like this.
Just give us a try. I'm gonna take all the risk.
I've got the time to make this right. I've got the support to make it right.
Just check us out.
And if you don't see the value in what we do,
I mean, fixed right or it's free or 100% money back.
enough said.
Thirteen minutes before the top of the hour, and we are live on Max World Live with Bradshaw. We need to come up with a name when we how about just Mac and Bradshaw?
That's fine
Is
by
that
me.
fine? Bradshaw and Mac? I don't care.
How about Frank and Bradshaw?
Now that
How
itself.
about Bradshaw is not available for that hour this week?
Frank is our special guest. You usually hear him on
That
the phone.
Frank, yeah.
But I invited him into the studio today. And the answer to your question is my wife ordered that globe for me from that really fancy luggage place in Valley West Mall. Okay. I don't know if you can get a shot of that, Ryan. You don't have to, but we used to have that when we did Max World before we had green screens and everything. That was
Looks like a huge bowling ball.
Well, it's made out of what do you call that?
Plastic?
No. It's made out of stones, gems, and things.
I've got one just like it's got a gold. It's pretty much the exact same thing, made with like semi-precious stones brought back from Egypt.
Yeah, and so you think of me when you look at it?
No, I leave it at folks' house. I don't. I have an Autobot matrix of leadership on my mantle. True story.
The what?
Autobot matrix of leadership. Go watch Transformers the movie.
Oh, okay, Transformers.
It lights up.
Anyway, so we're back here this afternoon just having a good time. Frank's sitting in with us. And by the way, Michael Hurst told me to say hi to you. You remember Michael?
No.
Pastor Michael Hurst. He was the black guy that came in all the time from over at Elam. Maybe he didn't come in on 98. I thought he did. Maybe he didn't.
Yeah, I vaguely remember.
Well, he loves you. We had lunch the other day, and he just said, how's old Bradshaw doing?
All Christians should.
I said, yeah, he's still burning in hell. Well, I expected that.
Speaking of that, did you see your buddy Steve Dace last night?
No, what happened?
Wishing his political enemies burn in Hades. It was pretty awesome. It was a pretty great meltdown.
We're on
Facebook. I tweeted. You can go to Radio Bradshaw on Twitter and see the screenshot. It was really amazing.
When you say, was it a visual or just an audio?
No, it was a. Here, I'll read it to you.
Okay.
It's almost as good. The Wi-Fi here stinks, by the way.
Well, we've got a really good Wi-Fi. Are you tuned into ours or are you on Burger King?
No, I'm actually tethered to the cell phone.
Oh, okay.
Right now.
Well, then that wouldn't be my Wi-Fi, silly boy. That'd be Verizon.
I know. I can actually connect to this one.
So anyway.
When it load, there we go. There are times, I feel so hopeless that I can only take comfort in eternal justice. That those who insist on taking the rest of us down with them will one day be confronted with the knowledge hell is really hot and really forever. This is one of those times.
That's it? Well, that's a true statement.
Here's kind of an interesting story for Bradshaw. About a year and a half ago, I got friended on Facebook by someone who I didn't know, so I friended him. They said that I got talking to him on the phone. They said they were a avid Bradshaw listener. Said they had only disagreed with Bradshaw one time, but they thought that my arguments on his show were quite interesting. And
in the same way that people look at car accidents as they drive by,
no,
they're interesting.
They felt that I put up, even though they didn't agree, they felt I put up a good argument.
Well, you're like the poster boy. If I'll have anyone on, I would always,
I've always appreciated the time that you let me on the air.
I know a lot of friends in the right-wing radio world. Hover over that dump button as soon as anyone starts making a point they can't disagree with.
Probably to the consternation of much of your buddies.
Oh, yeah, I caught some flack.
Caught a lot of blowback.
On the air. But, man, what a drubbing you guys got last night.
What a drubbing.
Well, let me ask you a question here, Bradshaw. It's my conviction that the book of Revelation predicted that the United States would rise up in Bible prophecy and would be the standard bearer of religious freedom in this world, to be kind of a beacon of light or a light standard to a fallen world. But to accomplish this, I believe that the Lord has to have a strong fiscal house and a society that's willing to defend these principles that we have.
What tax rate do you believe is fair that like Jesus would endorse?
Well, Jesus did not get. I mean, Jesus obviously had a.
Now, he talked about taxes. What do you think his preferred tax rate would be?
He said, "Render to Caesar that which is Caesar's." He wasn't about to get into a monetary taxation debate with Caesar because that wasn't his mission. But getting back to what I'm trying to make the point about this country, a three-legged stool is a wonderful thing until you kick one leg out of the stool. It's going to fall. I look at the three legs of this country as religious freedom, a sound fiscal house, and a strong defense to defend these principles.
And I think we have all three.
But our fiscal house is a mess.
I don't think so.
There's people that
we can borrow money right now at less than the rate of inflation.
And
there's literally orders of magnitude more demand for our treasury bills than we're producing.
Are you comfortable borrowing 40 to 45 cents of every dollar we spend in this country?
Yeah. The question is, what are you going to spend it on? Could we, like the greatest generation, and even the silent generation, to a point that kind of, from the beginning of the Great Depression, probably through, the beginning of the Great Society.
Why is
we spent a lot of money on infrastructure. We invested it. And I know, one of the most overused and just completely flamingly wrong analogies you ever hear is comparing the U.S. budget to a household budget. Because I'm pretty sure your household doesn't have a standing army and doesn't mint the reserve currency of the world. I'm just going to guess.
Look,
but hold on. Let me finish my point here. We spend a lot of money on infrastructure, building up this country, and that kind of stopped in the 70s and almost came to a dead stop in the 80s and was greatly run down in this starve the beast mentality. And we should get back to that. We have the means. We have the resources. And you and I and Mac and everyone else out there, including Grover Norquist, who literally wants to drown the federal government in a bathtub, are living off those infrastructure investments, whether it's, the plumbing systems we have, or the interstate highway system, but versus that, or blowing it on more tax cuts for rich people. If you borrow $100,000, are you going to go to college with it?
So you buy into this?
Or are you going to buy Cristal and Maseratis?
So you buy into this theory that Obama opined not long ago that you didn't build it yourself, meaning that somehow the government helped you be successful.
Well, yeah.
Okay.
Name an entrepreneur. Name an example of a self-made man.
Okay, so if you believe in God like I do,
I don't.
God created this whole world, gave the resources, gave the knowledge, gave the intelligence, but yet liberals don't think they owe him a thing. Obama didn't say, well,
there are many liberals who are devout Christians. You can't paint with that.
I've never met one. I'm just honest with you. I don't mean to interrupt.
Jimmy Carter. Now, as you were saying...
No, I said I have never met one. I'd like to meet a regular person who voted for Obama twice, who is a devout follower of Jesus Christ.
Well,
I don't mean somebody that goes to a church.
Now you're playing no true Scotsman.
No, I'm playing a follower. If you put a Hawkeye sign up in your front yard, that doesn't make you a Hawkeye fan. Going to the game, screaming loud, fighting for the team, being there whether they win or lose, that's a fan. Show me a follower of Jesus.
Mac,
that is a liberal.
I find liberals have a hard time loving God because they're too busy being in love with themselves.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah.
Well, some of us have just found that the world works just as fine. Without the aforementioned God, or Odin, or Vishnu,
or... you know what? For 70, 80 years, maybe even 90, you'll enjoy it. But what about that afterlife?
I have more guts than Pascal.
Wrong? What if you're wrong? What if millions and millions and millions of people are right? And there is a God, it's not you, and there is an eternity in life, or there's an eternity in death.
I think if such a thing were to exist, considering we're still mystified by the cause and effect of gravity.
No, I understand.
I don't think it's anything certainly that Bronze Age philosophers were able to put in a book.
Getting back to this person that I met on Facebook.
Okay.
This person was hardcore. Hardcore atheist. Probably the most hardcore atheist I'd ever ran into in my life.
I can introduce you to some people.
I would describe you as more of an agnostic. I think you'd believe in God if somehow you could be shown God or demonstrated God. I don't think you're such a...
I think most atheists would.
I don't think you're such an infidel that...
An infidel.
Allah Akbar.
I don't think that you're such an infidel that you wouldn't believe in God if you could be demonstrated or shown that he exists.
That's kind of the point. It's one of the founding bedrock principles of atheism. You know, devout,
But-
and I atheist. There's only one God difference out of the hundreds of thousands
But
that
you
have
see,
been
you're a
created
lot- you're
in the
like-
mind of man. We just take it one step further than you do.
You're a lot like Thomas, Jesus' disciple. I mean, Jesus chastised Thomas because, look, you've seen me. You're seeing the holes in my hands, and you still don't want to believe. Blessed are the people who've never seen me and believe. That's what faith is all about. Faith is believing in something not yet seen. And
my simple point is the world works just as fine without that faith.
The world does.
Bradshaw, you got
Hold on,
faith.
Frank, just a second. The world does. So what it's like is if you lived in an iron lung. When you're in that iron lung, life's good, isn't it? It's breathing for you.
Not really. You're
getting
kind of
fed,
constrained.
but you're
and-
alive. But if you turn off the iron lung, what happens to you? At some point, your life will be turned off, unless you think you're going to live forever.
No, not yet. I don't know if I'll survive to reach the singularity.
Okay.
I'd like to submit Bradshaw has faith. He just can't exercise it in God. I mean, when he has a job for a radio station, he gets a paycheck. He has faith that when he goes to the bank that it won't bounce. When he drives down the street in his car, he has faith that there won't be a sinkhole that swallows him and his car up on his way to the bank. But yet, he has faith in those simple things, but he can't have faith in God when
I've driven on a highway. I've
when
cashed
God's
a
crea-
check. I actually use direct deposit.
when
myself.
when God's creative power is all around him. Nature speaks of God. Everything in nature speaks
Which
of
God?
There's only one.
There's only one God.
Odin?
There's only one. You can call him whatever you want, but remember, he's listening.
Zeus? Jupiter?
Call him whatever you want. He goes by many, many names. He simply goes by I am, too.
The Cylon God? Which one?
Whatever you want.
I mean, even Christians can't agree on what God wants and God believes and what Jesus wants people
Sure we
to do.
can.
Oh, you can.
bet
Otherwise,
Frank
you
and
wouldn't
I
have
can- I
so
bet-
many different
I bet Frank and
denominations out there.
Well, but remember,
bringing a
there's-
Catholic priest. And
There's only one interpretation of the Bible. There's only one. Now, there are many
Oh.
applications. No. There's one interpretation. Now, there are many applications. There are as many applications as maybe there are heartbeats. But there's only one interpretation. Okay? Seriously. I mean, even Dan, who is a good 6 feet from me religiously, faith-wise, Dan and I can agree on all the essentials in the Bible. We question predestination.
I was going to say, what are the essentials? And that breaks down.
That Christ died for a fallen world, that he was nailed on a cross,
then where does like this?
that he was resurrected, and that he lives, giving you a chance to live.
Where do things like
That's the
snake
essentials.
handling and saints or wishing your political enemies
That's not an
eternal
that's not an
hellfire?
essential.
That's not an essential. And that's all man stuff. That's all man stuff. Man screws up everything.
I know. Look at the Left Behind series and what that's done to
look at
American
our
Christianity.
Government. Look at our government. Look at how messed up our government is. No matter what side, and you have to say this. Tell me, please, admit this. No matter what side you on, you were embarrassed by our government in the last couple weeks. They made a mockery of you and I.
No, in fact, this is one of the big changes that's probably not going to get talked about enough in the wake of this shutdown.
Which is?
This is maybe the first time I can remember that again, one party so egregiously went over the top that the national media, which I know you guys are always trying to work the refs and call it liberal media, but really we have a very sensationalist media. We have a very understaffed media. We have a very, in many cases, lazy. Let's just recycle conventional wisdom.
Sure. So it's easy to go for the black guy in the White House.
No. It's easy to say both sides are at blame. The truth is in the middle. You take a quote from this guy, you take a quote from that guy on the other side, you put it together. You don't get as many angry letters to the editor. No one threatens to cancel their subscription. But this is the first time that I can remember that one party, again, was so egregiously over the top and out there.
That's not what I heard.
That both sides are to blame wasn't the main topic of discussion. It was Ted Cruz. It was
No, it wasn't.
the impotence of John Boehner, who even in the last minute couldn't keep his
What media do you read,
caucus
listen to, watch?
together.
Al Jazeera.
I do like Al
BBC.
Jazeera. I do like the BBC. They're some of the best.
Here's a question from somebody.
They're some of the best journalists. If you're looking to see what's going on outside the United States, those are two of the best.
By that logic, we know what goes on better in Britain than Britons do, than the English.
No, I don't think Americans overall care.
Well,
about
here's
what happens outside the United States, unless we have soldiers there who are currently dropping bombs on it, which is a bigger issue in an interconnected world.
Here's a question from somebody who actually listens to your show.
Okay.
You've rambled on for years about the filibuster and how it's been perverted, and that, by gosh, I want to see somebody actually have to get up and stand on their feet and read the phone book if they have to. Now, Rand Paul got up and spoke for over 13 hours.
Yep.
Ted Cruz got up and spoke for 21 hours.
Well, and Ted Cruz was not a filibuster. He was not blocking a bill because the debate was already set to end. So he spoke, he got his screen time, and then went away because
I won't dispute that. But can you at least give these two guys a round of applause?
I don't give Ted Cruz any credit at all. In fact, if you're a Republican, he probably did more long-term harm to your goals than even Barack Obama, whipping you guys twice.
It's great
badly.
to have Bradshaw back in the studio. Frank is here with us. Ryan is producing. I'm J. Michael McCoy. If I haven't told you lately, thanks for listening. Love this job. Couldn't do it without you. We're coming back live here with Mac and Bradshaw, powered by webcast1live.com.
If you choose to obey the power of sin, it leads to death. If you choose to obey obedience, it leads to righteousness.
Forgiveness is just the beginning of life in Christ. God wants us to live for Him now.
And because of Jesus Christ, the gospel was preached, and you and I are blessed today because of Abraham. Did you know that? We're blessed.
Experience Truth, 99.3 FM.
Yes, now your favorite programs on Webcast One Live can all be watched and listened to on any Android or Apple device. Your phone, tablet, or iPad. Yes, your favorite shows on Webcast One Live are available live or on podcast wherever you go. Let me introduce to you some of our great shows.
Shalom. Every week on Understanding the World with Rabbi David Kaufman, we'll talk about issues in the Middle East, issues related to the Jewish tradition and religious traditions in general, and keep you up to date on exactly what's going on around the world. You may know some of the story, but you haven't heard all of the story until you've heard it on Understanding the World with Rabbi David Kaufman and our special guests we have on every week.
Hi, I'm Doc. You listen to me every Tuesday from 6 to 7 p.m. on Doc and Lefty radio podcast program, where we discuss all the relevant topics of the day, including state, local, and national politics. My partner in crime, Lefty, often likes to have a little bit of conservative justice served upon him, so please turn in for the fireworks every week from 6 to 7 p.m. on Tuesdays at webcast1live.com. Thank you.
So when you want to watch your favorite Webcast One program, remember, there's an app for that. You know, there's an app for that.
From the RE/MAX Real Estate Concept Studios, this is Webcast One Live.
Get away from us, you mean old credit card. We don't have any more money. We're in trouble now. Save us! Help! Somebody save us! Somebody help! Help! Save us!
Hi, I'm Tom Coates from Consumer Credit of Des Moines. If your credit card's a little too animated, give us a call.
Hooray, we're saved! Democrat, you're our hero!
We're the ones in the pew, not pulpit. Come on now, let's reason together. The phone lines are open, so call 855-244-0077. Now, here's J. Michael McCoy.
8 minutes after the hour on this gorgeous day. By the way, we thank you for downloading this podcast. It's kind of amazing. In fact, when the microphones were off, we were just talking a little radio here with Frank and Bradshaw and Ryan and I, and it's so changed. It's just so changed.
Kind of like, Mad Max.
Yeah,
I miss radio every day. Love radio. I do not miss the radio business.
Right.
One bit, and the people that are currently running it.
Yep.
Well, what was that you were saying on the Fallon's one time, Mac? Something about when they get Sirius satellite and where you can program everything in your car, radio is essentially over.
Yeah. The Motorola has developed, and I think you can buy it as an option in Mercedes. Where you have a program on your computer. Do you know about this? Tell me if I'm wrong on this, but you have a program on your computer and you bring up these websites or you bring up these sources of audio information programs, and you give them a name, and then you put a thumb drive in your computer, and you can store up to like 12 or 16 at a time, and then you put that into your radio in your car, and the 1 through 10 buttons now become those choices, and so you're basically listening to the internet.
Oh, I'm sure they have that sort of stuff for the the Siri integration that's coming.
I don't know about that. What's that?
Siri's the digital voice assistant on your iPhone.
Yeah, I don't have an iPhone, but what is that? What are they going to do?
But run your car and everything, and all your media. Right off the phone, make calls, do the directions.
Well,
and all that, but it's all coming that phone, in the same way that your car has power windows. We're all old enough to remember that.
Yeah,
whoa.
Yep.
And now you can't buy the cheapest hunk of junk without power windows. The digital integration in the car is going to be the same thing, and the car was always the last great holdout for radio. That was we wanted people, listen to your car, listen to your car, listen to your car, listen to your car, listen to your car.
I think they found it was cheaper to put the power windows in than leave them off.
Yeah, that could have been.
Well, people just stopped buying. It went from a luxury to expected.
Well, here's what's surprising for me. Somebody asked me, "Oh, was it you? Did you ask me a year ago if I'd ever go back?" And I was surprised, and I said no. And then I heard my answer, and I realized I wouldn't go back. I wouldn't go back to, and it's not because of what it is; it's who's running it.
Yeah, I mean, under the right circumstances, I'd go back. I could think of a couple people in town that I would still
enjoy working for. Yeah,
but I've been lucky enough to work for people who got it. Let's be you got even to put me on the air in the first place. You got to be thinking outside the box.
That was me.
Yeah, and. Well, the people that replaced you with me, but let's not get into that. Another topic for another time.
Best decision ever made. Do you know that I wouldn't probably have this? We've got 57 hours a week, 13 different shows, and in the third quarter, and I could get you to the number. We had 1,479,000 downloads of our programs. Almost 1.5 million downloads.
And this is the thing that the radio and TV networks trying, their hardest to hold on to that old business model.
Yeah, and it didn't work.
Doesn't work. The demand for content hasn't gone anywhere. And if anything, it's grown by leaps and bounds.
Right.
But in the same way that, TV is fighting tooth and nail to hold on to that, be on your couch watching whatever at 7 p.m., sit through the commercial break, and be there till 7:30, and hopefully stick around to watch Two Broke Girls. But that model's dead.
I understand.
With the advent of again, it used to be you'd have to go out and buy a TiVo and, go through all the rigmarole of hooking up. And now, your digital cable package comes with a DVR, and it's all time shifted.
Yeah.
Same thing with the radio. Like, okay, AM radio, other, farm reports and right-wing radio. That's all that works on AM radio. And it's not working anymore. And they're trying desperately to hold on to that business model, and they're shedding audience.
Then why do they keep spending billions of dollars to acquire terrestrial signals?
They are looking to roll their debt into new acquisitions. That's the only reason Citadel was bought. It's the reason that companies like CBS or Town Square are going to get bought. It's to keep that money ball rolling. It has nothing to do with owning or operating radio stations. Yeah. They could just be buying POGs or Bitcoins or widgets or any other horrible investment.
It's like investing money into Facebook. They say Facebook's got this incredible value, but yet their stream of revenue is negligible. Negligible. But yet it's worth what? $5 billion or whatever it is?
Yeah, I mean, the Dickies or, the folks, Bain Capital behind Clear Channel, again, it's moving money from place to place and making it grow. The venue itself doesn't really matter.
Well, that's what we're doing here. We're producing content. All right, speaking of producing content, let's produce something that's good.
Okay. There's first time for everything.
Do you really think Obamacare is good? Now, I understand the concept of being able to insure every single American preconditioning conditions. I understand that. But don't you see the mess, the government red tape, the 20 miles deep of feces that Obamacare is?
Well, of course it didn't generate from a good idea. It came from the Heritage Foundation.
Okay, but
I mean, that is, will you admit that is the basis of Obamacare? It's why that,
I don't know that.
Even Jim DeMint, right, the head of the Heritage Foundation, got out of the Senate to rake in the money from rubes. All right, back in 2007, before it was Obamacare, was talking about, well, Romneycare, if you just want to use the most generic of terms. It was offered as the free market solution to Hillary Care, if you remember those good old days in the early 90s. And, well, I can certainly understand a bit of pragmatism in this is the best option we're going to be able to get passed. Because you remember all the hubbub. I mean, anyone who says, they just jammed Obamacare down our throats, I mean, is either painfully misinformed or outright lying, depending on their perspective.
That idea was offered up by the Republicans to muddy the water, to do anything to shoot down Hillary Care.
Well, congratulations. You're a victim of your own success.
I will be the first to admit that. But it's a lousy idea.
I say anyone who wants to buy into Medicare can.
What did Obama run on? He ran on a single-payer system, did he not?
I mean, this was more the Hillary approach.
And now we've given the insurance companies 30 million new customers.
Mm-hmm. And the cost for that is you have to take all comers.
So they're willing to take a little regulation to get these 30 million new customers. But they've been showing on TV nightly here that people are trying to get on these exchanges, and it's impossible to get on the exchanges.
Oh, the website sucks. Government IT procurement should be a huge story because of everything that these days is interconnected and run online. That should be a huge story, but other folks are going to try to make hay about the Obamacare law based on the websites. And by the way, thank you, Terry Branstad. We could have an Iowa exchange, like many states do, that went and got federal money to set up their own sites, but Terry Branstad had to appease the wingnuts, and we couldn't go and do that here in Iowa. So we could have our own Iowa healthcare website for Iowans, made by Iowans, but that was just a bridge too far, and we have to keep up front. So thanks to Terry Branstad and friends, we don't have one.
So if this healthcare is so wonderful, why has Obama exempted the corporations for a year?
A 1 year delay on the corporate mandate.
But the whole idea
I don't agree with
the whole idea of funding it is everybody's in the pool. Well, if you start exempting people out of the pool, what's going to fund it?
I agree. I don't think there should be exemptions.
And why do we exempt the government?
We don't exempt the government. I know. You want to hear the story behind that one? Because it involves Chuck Grassley being a hack.
No, but
I'll explain to you what...
Isn't Congress and Senate not included in that?
I can explain how Chuck Grassley...
I don't want to hear about...
Well, it's what happened.
Is that a yes or no?
They're not exempt.
They're not exempt.
They're screwed over, and I can explain when we come back from break.
Okay,
Thanks to Chuck Grassley.
Screwed over explanation will come next, live here with Mac and Bradshaw. Frank sitting in at webcast1live.com.
From the RE/MAX Real Estate Concept Studios, this is Webcast One Live.
Drink, dance, party. Kitty's is the ultimate dance club in Des Moines. A huge dance floor with room to move, 3 bars to keep your drinks full, and kickin' DJs playing all your favorite dance music. At Kitty's, we've always got your birthday party planned with Birthday Fridays. That's right, when your birthday rolls around, there's only one place to go. Gather up your friends and head to Kitty's, where you drink free on the Friday of your birthday week. Find out more about Birthday Fridays at kittiesusa.com. Kitty's, all kinds of people, all kinds of music, all kinds of fun.
Drug and alcohol addiction slowly steals a person's identity, tearing away pieces of their life little by little until one day it seems like the hope of a happy future is gone and there's no chance of getting it back. Here at St. Gregory Retreat Centers, we can assure you that there is hope. Our unique approach to recovery begins with the understanding that the dysfunction and damage caused by addiction can be overcome, not just dealt with. Don't let another day go by. Call St. Gregory today.
If you choose to obey the power of sin, it leads to death. If you choose to obey obedience, it leads to righteousness.
Forgiveness is just the beginning of life in Christ. God wants us to live for Him now.
And because of Jesus Christ, the gospel was preached, and you and I are blessed today because of Abraham. Did you know that? We're blessed.
Experience Truth, 99.3 FM.
From the RE/MAX Real Estate Concept Studios, this is Webcast One Live.
We've got questions. You've got the answer. Join the conversation. It's your voice we want to hear. So call 855-244-0077. Now, here's J. Michael McCoy.
All right, right back with it with Frank in the studio and Bradshaw. Okay, so explain to me why
Chuck Grassley screwed up the health care bill from congressional aides. Because I can.
Okay. Can you just simply answer this question? Is the Congress and the Senate, can they opt out of Obamacare? Are they, what did you call it, Frank? Are
exempt?
They exempt?
No.
They're not.
Here's the problem we ran into. Chuck Grassley thought, and again, he's trying to establish his kind of right-wing nut job cred because he wants to hand his seat over to his grandson. I think everyone is aware of this by now. So when he went kind of from statesman to pulling the, pull the plug on grandma act, one of the 67 Republican amendments to the health care law was one from Chuck Grassley that basically required congressional staffers and the like to be get their health care from the exchanges. Chuck Grassley thought he was injecting a poison pill into the deal, thinking that Democrats would object to this, and then he could say, see, they don't want their people on the exchanges. So, but I think Democrats kind of threw him a curveball and said, okay. The only problem is they didn't work the kinks out with Grassley's language, and he tries to blame this on Harry Reid. But the way Obamacare works is you are eligible for, subsidies you buy on the exchange if your employer doesn't offer you health care. Well, congressional staffers are offered health care, which means, thanks to Chuck Grassley's amendment, House staffers and Senate staffers would be forced to pay 100% of the price for their health care plan, basically taking a pay cut to pay for the entirety of their health insurance on the exchange. Now, depending on, again, which side you trust, apparently John Boehner has looked multiple times to Harry Reid to get this worked out. And this is where the Vitter amendment came from, basically trying to, again, cut the pay of congressional staffers.
Here's what the Washington Post says.
Okay.
As a result of an amendment offered by Senator Chuck Grassley, Republican from Iowa, the Affordable Care Act includes a provision that would require members of Congress and their personal staffs to get their insurance on the Obamacare exchanges. The Heritage Foundation has released a very interesting paper that details the legislative history of that provision, how efforts to adjust it by Grassley slipped away in the final passage.
Yeah, OMB ruled, and this is where the exempt from Obamacare comes from, that staffers would be eligible for the subsidies, trying to work around the legalese. And that's where the exempt from Obamacare line comes from. And what David Vitter was trying to do was smash that out as an attempt to gain any sort of face out of these shutdown negotiations.
All right, let me continue reading.
Okay.
Thus, there was an unexpected wrinkle. The exchanges are intended for people who currently do not get employer-provided insurance, whereas lawmakers and their staffs previously had about 70% of their insurance premiums underwritten by the federal government. For lawmakers and their staff, the loss of employer contributions would have amounted to an unintended pay cut of $5,000 to $10,000. Under pressure from Congress, the Office of Personnel Management proposed a rule in August, which was finalized in September, saying the federal government could still contribute to health care premiums.
Yeah, that was the OMB ruling. Like I said, getting around the legalese to keep staffers basically from fleeing their jobs in droves because they would get that $5,000 to $10,000.
Therefore, Congress does not have to take Obamacare.
No, they do have to take Obamacare. It's whether they get the subsidy for it or not. Like any of it, like you.
Do you feel like the boots aren't tall enough, Frank? I mean, in here right now.
Well, what part of this is confusing? I can help you out.
I don't think I want the snake to explain.
Let me split a hair here. Are we speaking about staffers, or are we actually talking about congressmen and senators? Do you think they're actually going to receive?
Technically both, but a Hill staffer, I mean, aside from the very top staff, is living on about between $25,000 and $30,000 a year. And if you've ever seen any sort of real estate prices in D.C. is one of the most expensive areas
to live
in the country. So $25,000 to $30,000 doesn't cover a whole heck of a lot. And if you cut that, if you start taking 5 to 10 out of that for health insurance, they're going to leave in droves.
Do you think that Barack and Michelle Obama and their children, Joe Biden's family, do you think these people are going to receive the same health care as you and I?
No, they're rich. I've never said that the rich get the same health care you and I get.
But supposedly, this health care is supposed to be such a wonderful thing.
No, you're talking about health insurance. Don't equate health insurance with health care because they're two separate things.
They are.
Yeah, that's like equating cheese and cheese product.
Well, they've said recently that the
that
deductibles
doesn't make them two different things.
Yeah, they are. Health care.
They said,
I'm sorry, Frank.
Is a completely separate. It's the level of care, the amount of care you get in a hospital or a medical facility. Health insurance is the mechanism that we've chosen in this country.
But I've seen a report. I've seen a report recently that says that a single person's deductible is going to be $4,000, and that a family of four, the deductible is going to be about $8,000. I can remember when I thought $500 was a terrible deductible. Now we're talking $4,000 to $5,000 to $8,000 deductible before you can even.
Is that a bronze plan, a silver plan, or a gold plan?
I'm not sure.
Should look that up.
You know what my wife does for a living.
My wife. So you probably have really kicking health insurance.
My wife is the in charge of 700 and some people, and she says she understands healthcare. That is one of the main things she helps manage for her customers, and I'm sorry, for her employees. You talk to anybody in medicine, anybody in HR, they'll tell you this is a mess and that insurance is only going to go up and the government's the one that makes the money off of it.
Insurance has been going up for the last decade, ever since I entered the workforce. Every year it goes up more.
It's a tax. Do you realize that? It's a tax.
But all these...
It is not, hold on, Frank. It is not an entitlement. It is not a benefit. It is worse than both of those. It is a tax. And
I'm
if you
for
don't
universal
pay
single payer.
And if you don't pay it, what happens?
Well, like any other tax. You don't pay. Yeah.
Right. So where did we go from having health insurance for those poor 13 million people that couldn't afford it
30
to
million.
now everybody being taxed?
Let's do universal single payer.
Okay, but
like the rest of the industrialized world.
But that's your Obamacare.
And who's going to pay for that?
But that's your Obamacare. Your Obamacare has turned into a tax for the government, and they're using the lives of elderly and children and everybody in between to get that tax.
Elderly because of Medicare and children because of the CHIP program already covered. So we're actually talking about the people in the middle.
They're using American lives to get taxes.
No, I don't think the profit motive is behind Obamacare. Otherwise, Republicans and especially the business community would be all behind it.
But it's a government-run program. There's no way to run it properly.
Well, what do you mean?
Tell me one thing the government runs well.
The interstate highway system?
No, they don't run that well. People die on it.
Well, yeah.
I mean, if they ran it well, nobody would die, right?
No.
I mean, they keep changing the drunk the .08 blow.
Those are state laws.
They keep no.
Yeah.
.08 is a federal. Okay.
No.
Okay.
You lose highway money.
All right.
If
So
you don't.
the government punishes you as a state if you don't do what they say.
But you're free to choose your own drinking age and your own BAC
right.
limit.
And if you don't follow what the federal government says, you're in trouble. They take money from you.
They blackmail you with highway funds if you don't lower the speed limit. Then they turn around and blackmail you with highway funds if you don't raise the speed limit.
Yeah, right.
Then you don't want a Martin Luther King Day or a Martin Luther King Boulevard or Avenue, they withhold highway funds.
Right. Yeah.
Why wouldn't you want a Martin Luther King holiday?
That's not the point. The point is that
I
the
didn't
government
bring it up. You did.
No,
I'm
the point
curious.
is that the federal government comes in and you want to make us believe that you don't have to have a .08. You don't have to be at 21. You don't have to recognize certain holidays.
No, Louisiana had 18 for years. And by the way,
they lose federal money?
Yeah, they lost federal money for that. You don't lose federal money. Arizona.
So why can't
Arizona didn't lose federal money for not having a Martin
So
Luther
why
King
can't we do
holiday.
that with Obamacare? Why can't the states say no?
Well, they can to the Medicaid expansion.
But what did Bradshaw do that upsets you so much?
Well, Branstad, again, in effort to, I don't know, kind of have his cake and eat it too, because I think we all knew at the end of the day, with the pressure from the Iowa Hospital Association, we were going to get the Medicaid expansion in this state. I mean, Branstad's a lot of things, but he's not generally stupid. Like, he might not be a great executive per se, right? But he's not, pants on head.
He's the longest running governor in the state of Iowa, and you say he doesn't know how to do his job.
I don't think he's
in a Democratic state. This man's been governor more than any other Democrat.
I think he's very good at getting elected.
And he's very good at doing what he says he's going to do.
Well, where are those 200,000 jobs that he promised?
Well, we'll
work on the important stuff
Where's
later.
all the jobs Obama promised?
Yeah.
They're coming. We're getting them.
They are.
Yeah.
Oh, from the pipeline?
No, not from the pipeline. Those are short-term.
Where's all the green jobs?
Yeah.
I would love to see more. Unfortunately, they cost money, and it's hard to get money. We need another stimulus.
We
had a $3 trillion hole blown into our economy by the.
So how about all that money that got pumped into the solar panels that can't be accounted for, and those companies went belly up and what have you?
They did go belly up. That happens in business.
Oh.
Because
now you're pro-business.
Because China was undercutting us?
Because China, one, subsidizes the hell out of it and does make it harder to compete. And two, you look at a company like Solyndra that had silicon-based technology at the heart of their, photo cells and the photovoltaic technology. And now, all of a sudden, comes along a silicone-free. Silicone's actually pretty expensive. Ask Hugh Hefner. If you can make it without the silicone, you're going to make it for much cheaper, and you're going to undercut the market. And unless we're going to subsidize, these non-fossil fuels at the rate that we subsidize ethanol, because no one has a problem with ethanol subsidies, at least in Iowa. No one has a problem with all the oil subsidies.
Well, instead of
that we
Obama
have.
spending
Why
this...
aren't we subsidizing non-destructive energy sources in the same way that we're doing with coal and fossil fuels?
Thank you
other fossil fuels, I should
Thank you for coming in today. I appreciate you being here.
It's my pleasure. I'm surprised. You guys were very gracious losers today, so I do appreciate that. I was expecting a little fire and brimstone like your buddy, in Dace's case, literally.
Yeah. And you know why? Because I love Jesus. And it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter all the foolish games that people play on the face of this earth.
No, I think it matters a great deal, and I think
it doesn't matter to me.
Because when
like
Christ comes, he's going to disrupt all their plots anyway.
End up doing a lot of damage to real people.
I'm leading a Bible study on Thursday mornings. You want to go with me?
I hate fiction. I'm more of a nonfiction.
How about Wednesday morning? I'm doing fiction on Wednesday morning.
If you want to check out like Lies My Teacher Told Me, I can get you a copy of that.
Frank, thanks for coming in.
You're welcome.
You're welcome anytime in here. And you let me know when you can come in again and we'll do this show.
Thanks for not stabbing me, Frank.
Yeah, thank you.
We'll put it on, he'll put it on Twitter. I'll put it on Facebook.
I don't want to touch you.
Meanwhile, what's coming up at 2 o'clock?
Great
It's
offense.
Understanding the World. Understanding the World with Rabbi Kaufman. Until then, I will see you tomorrow. Des Moines Christian Kids coming in tomorrow. Going to be a great show tomorrow at 3 o'clock on View from the Pew, right here on webcast1live.com. Thanks for listening.